is not ending today. This is not ending tomorrow. This is going to take a long time.
I don't see what rabbit Boris Johnson's going to pull out the hat.
You know?
The Trump administration is expanding its ability to deport undocumented immigrants without affording them a hearing in court. The administration's policy for what's known as expedited removal previously applied to migrants apprehended within 100 miles of the border who'd been in the country for less than 2 weeks. Starting today, it applies to migrants anywhere who have been in the U.S. for less than 2 years. President Trump swore in Army vet and former defense industry lobbyist Mark Esper as the new Secretary of Defense, replacing Jim Mattis, whose disagreements with the administration caused him to leave 7 months ago, the longest period in the Pentagon's history that it's gone without a confirmed leader. The Senate passed a bill extending the 9/11 Victim Compensation Fund, a $10.2 billion program that's set to provide aid to first responders and their families through 2090. 2 Republican senators delayed the vote last week and then attempted to tack on amendments that would have capped the fund.
Expression of approval is not permitted in the gallery.
23 days after the Department of Health and Human Services opened a new emergency shelter for unaccompanied migrant children, Vice News learned the department's shutting it down. The facility had been shown off to politicians and journalists to prove it was nothing like other Border Patrol stations where people were reportedly denied showers and hot meals and were seen sleeping on concrete floors. But it opened just as the number of children crossing the border dropped. Congressional leaders and the White House managed to agree on a $1.37 trillion budget compromise, which would also suspend borrowing limits until after the 2020 election. If the deal gets through Congress, it'll pile onto a deficit that's snowballed under President Trump to more than $22 trillion, a far cry from what candidate Trump promised, wiping the entire federal debt in 8 years.
Hundreds of thousands of Puerto Ricans have been protesting for more than a week, demanding the resignation of Governor Ricardo Rosselló. But yesterday's protest was the largest, and last night, it turned violent as police tear-gassed protesters.
We're not fucking afraid. And you know what? This is not ending today. This is not ending tomorrow. This ain't ending next week or the week after that. This is gonna take a long time.
But this isn't just about Rosselló refusing to step down. Puerto Ricans are pissed off about a system they say has effectively protected a wealthy ruling class, one that's out of touch with roughly half the population living in economic crisis.
You are fucking done! We want you out! We don't want you here, we're staying! We're never leaving until you fucking leave!
The governor responded to the protests today, tweeting, "During yesterday, as in the past few days, I have remained attentive and silent to the statements made as part of the right of citizens to their free expression. The people are talking, and I have to listen." But demonstrators have made it clear they don't want him to just listen. They want him to leave.
Buen día. ¿Estás listo? Mira, ponte esta porque se supone que sea una camisa negra.
I'm Nicole Teresa Ramos. I'm from Santurce.
Él es un super bully.
Él es un super bully, es cierto. Ricky es un bully.
I'm a single mom of an 8-year-old boy. I am a facilitator and coordinator for Universidad Sin Fronteras and Project South. I'm also a student in Universidad de Puerto Rico. And I'm a community doula, birth, breastfeeding, and abortion doula.
For many Puerto Ricans, these demonstrations have been a long time coming. Ramos went to Monday's event, dubbed the national strike, El Paro Nacional, with her entire family.
The incomes are just, it's a joke. Like, you can work 24 hours a week and get $170. That's not enough.
How hard is it for you to make it through the month?
So since I'm the main income, it's really tough. Sometimes we just resell antiques or things we find, or we will just try to ask someone for money. The electricity, I pay them like every 3 months, because after the third month they will cut off the service. But that's how it has to be.
Hundreds of thousands of people from all over the island shut down the expressway to demonstrate their disgust with the island's inequality and with administration officials, some of whom have been arrested for corruption.
Y regresamos. Me acompaña, como de costumbre, en esta segunda media hora, el amigo economista Heriberto Martínez.
En Puerto Rico, yo siempre he visto una distinción entre clases medias y clases populares. En Puerto Rico,
Heriberto Martínez Otero is the incoming president of the Puerto Rico Association of Economists and is a frequent guest on a Sunday radio show that started in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria to give people recovery information. How would you describe the economy in Puerto Rico?
The economy of Puerto Rico right now is at the middle of a huge depression that began in 2006. The inequality in Puerto Rico is very huge, and we are probably the 4th or 5th unequal country around the world right now. So what that means in Puerto Rico, I don't know, from 500 years ago, we have a small group of people, the elite or the privileged, who always are winning more and more, but the people, the working class in Puerto Rico and people who are receiving welfare state, every year is worse.
Many Puerto Ricans use the word colonial or colonialism to describe the psychology of being on this island. Is that accurate?
Yes, because always the education system, the economic system, everything is in function of the outside interest, not for the Puerto Rican interest. When we need help to solve our own problems, most of the Puerto Ricans will look to the United States rather than to look here inside Puerto Rico.
The final straw was almost 900 pages of leaked messages between Governor Rosselló and his inner circle. They made homophobic, sexist, and threatening comments and joked about those who died when the island suffered through Hurricane Maria.
None of the governors that have been on power, we have never been able to catch them. So he just represents all of this generation since the start of our Constitution that have just been laughing in our faces. It's the first time we finally see it.
What happens if he refuses to step down?
It seemed a bit as dictatorship, because more people than who voted for you are asking you to quit. So we are actually kind of voting for you to quit.
Boris Johnson will formally become UK Prime Minister tomorrow when he visits the Queen and is invited to form a new government.
Leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party.
But before he even makes it to the palace, at least 5 former ministers say they can't serve under him. It's a reminder that the Brexit mess he helped create is a very long way from being solved.
I say to all the doubters, dude, we are going to energise the country. We're going to get Brexit done on October the 31st. We're going to take advantage of all the opportunities that it will bring in a new spirit of can-do.
Pretty much everybody knew that Boris was going to win, but a big question that remains is which Boris will Britain get? Will it be the blunderous but ultimately pragmatic London mayor who championed business, immigration and the European Union's single market? Will it be the Leave-backing populist who switched seamlessly from questionable statistics to dog-whistle populism, even comparing Muslim women wearing the burqa to letterboxes? Or will it be the Conservative leadership contender who said, quote, "fuck business," and campaigned on taking the UK out of the EU by any means, with no deal if necessary?
we cannot hope to govern an independent nation. We cannot hope to have an independent democracy in this country as long as we are members of the EU.
Many of the supporters who just handed Boris the keys to 10 Downing Street are hoping for the by any means necessary guy.
To Boris!
How's he going to deliver Brexit?
Well, what you saw in there is his clear determination to set out to achieve the 3 targets he set himself. He is intending to deliver Brexit. That's absolutely essential, core job, in order for us to be able to take it forward.
Why is this different now?
You know, I think Boris truly believes in the UK's future outside of the European Union, as do I. I think he's going to do really well.
And she didn't?
I think she did, but
the truth
Boris
is
will take a different view.
Nothing's changed, has it?
No, but Boris will take a different approach. Thanks very much.
What's changed?
What's changed is the country's now going to be led by a Prime Minister that believes in leaving the European Union.
But that doesn't make any difference necessarily, does it?
Well, it makes a fantastic difference because Theresa May didn't really, when she voted Remain, she always saw leaving as a damage limitation exercise. Boris has always passionately believed that we should leave.
Stanley, can I just ask you, which one of your sons are we going to get as Prime Minister? People in burqas look like letterboxes, or the open London mayor that people saw a few years ago?
Our team...
Don't want to answer that.
Isn't it lunchtime? Is it getting on for lunchtime?
Very good. I see where he gets it from.
After lunch, Prime Minister Johnson has 3 months to do what his predecessors failed to do in 3 years. With the EU insisting it won't reopen the deal the UK Parliament has rejected over and over, the default option is for Boris to take Britain out without a deal, which Parliament and many in his own party remain heavily against. Heidi Allen was one of 3 MPs who quit the Conservative Party ahead of its takeover by hard Brexiteers like Johnson.
Boris Johnson has no plan. A number of us visited the European Union and talked to a lot of countries a few weeks ago. They're very clear, no extension for anything other than a general election or a second referendum. So I don't see what rabbit Boris Johnson's going to pull out the hat. The deal will fail, he will push to no deal. That will splinter the Tory party, I think, and there is a real risk of a general election.
Suppose Johnson does have a plan. Like Theresa May, he doesn't have a majority in Parliament. There are also serious questions about his competency. His time as Foreign Secretary was mired by high-profile mistakes and diplomatic blunders. And as many of his former colleagues point out, he has a tendency to go back on his word when it serves his agenda.
It seems to me that he wants to be loved by whoever is in front of him, so he will change his position or his story to pander to who he wants to win over that particular day. And it worries me that we could have a Prime Minister who is so lacking in depth of conviction that they will just bend with the wind.
Thank you all very much.
Protests in Hong Kong this weekend were the most violent yet in 7 weeks of mass demonstrations against a proposed law that would allow the extradition of Hong Kong's suspected criminals to the mainland. This time, demonstrators targeted the seat of Beijing's power in Hong Kong, its liaison office. China has had an unusually light touch in response to previous protests, blaming colonial interference and suppressing coverage. Now, for the first time, it's accusing the US of meddling and broadcasting the protests on state media.
香港各界人士表示，激进示威者的行径性质严重，影响恶劣。
Some Chinese citizens apparently agreed online, where for once they weren't censored. Users on Weibo, the social media site, even praised a gang of more than 100 men who injured 45 people in what looked like a coordinated attack at a metro station. Hamidze was on his way home. He's a 31-year-old salesman who's been protesting since June.
其實你網上都可能會見到一啲片段，就係嗰班白色衫嘅暴民啦，或者叫鄉士黑社會啦，佢哋係喺呢一度一直追趕住一啲普通嘅市民，而普通市民就經過呢一個樓梯一直跑上嚟呢個平台、呢個月台去逃避佢哋嘅追打咯。當其時其實我都係跟住人群喺呢度跑咗上嚟，當時我係見到有架列車，而有列車上面有空位，我係跑咗入去先嘅。咁到最後過咗一陣之後，嗰班白色衫嘅暴力人士真係跑咗上嚟月台呢一度，而當時列車依然喺度未開出嘅。咁所以基本上我哋就困咗喺列車上邊，嗰班暴民就喺個月台嗰度打車廂入邊嘅人咯。其實佢哋衝入嚟嘅時候，佢哋人數至少有30個或者40個左右嘅白色衫嘅人士，而佢哋大部分都係手持武器啦，包括一啲藤枝啦，有啲人就會攞咗一啲鐵嘅告示牌啦，係啦，咁去追打人嘅，而好多人都走咗入列車入邊咯，而車入邊大部分都係普通市民。又有婦孺又有老人家咯，係啦。所以我哋一定要聚集更多人去保護，互相照應，大家保護對方咯。所以我就留咗喺度咯。其實成件事擾攘咗差唔多個幾鐘咧，警察都係冇出嚟過維持秩序或者分隔開兩批人士嘅。警察成日標榜自己係專業，係維持法治㗎嘛，但係當市民需要佢哋嘅時候，佢哋就失蹤咗咯。我哋就完全對警察嘅信心已經崩潰咗。
Police did say the next day that they'd arrested 6 people on charges of unlawful assembly, and said they had links to the Triad, Hong Kong's mafia-like network of gangs. It's not the first time the Triad has been accused of attacking pro-democracy protesters. During the Umbrella movement in 2014, police arrested 19 people who they said had Triad backgrounds.
Seems like a carbon copy of 2014. So I would speculate that these people were paid, that there was somebody behind them who paid them quite good money to do the attack.
The men targeted a station closer to China's border than downtown, in a region where housing is cheaper, and developers are building complexes with thousands of units.
I think the key is in the new territories. This is an area where there is a lot of land speculation and a lot of shady deals. And so if the government is threatened, those shady deals also would be threatened. The most likely scenario was that there were some business interests who thought that by doing so they would do a favor to China, a favor to the Hong Kong government, and mobilize the thugs.
Life's not fair, is it, my little friend? Everything you see...
It's your kingdom, Simba.
Like, every time I've ever had a puppy, like, I've always just grabbed him like this because of this movie. Like, this movie has endangered the lives of many children and puppies. I hold my nephew and I'm like, you know? He's gonna grow up. He grew up right before my eyes. Oh my God, I'm so stoked, man. Will it be better than the cartoon? Hard to say. As long as there's lifting involved, I think it'll nail it. I remember what it was like watching it. I remember crying profusely. I also watched it in English and in Spanish. Mufasa was like equally like circumspect. He was like, Simba, donde quiera que toque. And I was like, whoa, it's so much more dramatic. And even the roar was like sexy. It was like, rawr, rawr, you know?
Can I play with Annabelle?
I think you have the wrong house. There's no Annabelle here.
What is it about children that are so creepy, besides the fact that you you have to take care of them forever? Son of a bitch! Son of a bitch! Nope. You know, I was never a fan of like watching scary movies because I'm already like afraid of like I think like whenever I feel a breeze by my feet, I'm like, oh, the Llorona is coming to get me. That's obviously what's gonna happen. Oh, Guatemala is a very superstitious place, you know, and they say that like if you misbehave when you're a child, like spirits come and like pull you by the feet. Later on in life, you're like, oh, so are all spirits like foot fetish enthusiasts? Can you please take that fucking doll off? Thank you. God.
Karate's a way of communicating. Ask me a question. What are your plans for the weekend? I'm going to do some grocery shopping and rent a film to watch in the comfort of.
If this is gonna be about Jesse Eisenberg kicking ass, I'm here for it.
I know you can.
Yeah, Jesse Eisenberg kick some ass.
You have to trust me.
Don't slap Jesse Eisenberg.
I'm interested in buying a gun. I need something that can fit into my hand.
Sounds like you're after a handgun.
You know, sometimes when you're writing, right? Like most of the time you're like just trying to figure out an honest way for people to talk to each other, but now and then you like write a line like something that fits in my hand, and then the other guy goes handgun, and you're like, nailed it. If somebody wrote it in my writer's room, I'd be like, good job, and then we like go for like celebratory matcha or whatever. You'd be like, man, you've earned this. You know?
The future of the planet.
In a world where Idris Elba's a DJ. He's angry. He's at a modeling show. He walks.
Bulletproof.
Wow.
Superhuman.
Who the hell are you? Stop. By the way, I know what this is. It's Fast and the Furious, Hobbs and Shaw, I think. But this film should be called Idris Elba's audition for James Bond. Let's roll it up. I'm sorry, say what you want about these films, but they're super entertaining, man. Like, is it as dramatically well written as The Notebook? No, but nothing is. When I get my big action movie, I want it to be, I actually do have an idea for one. I want to see El Zorro origin story, but that's like bloody and gritty, like Logan. Do you know what I mean? And The Notebook remake. As an action movie, yeah.
He took her notebook. She sought him out. Heard their parents didn't want them together. Ryan Gosling in I Wrote You Every Day.
You can have that pitch for free. I got other ones.